Hi, my name's Steve. I'm an alcoholic. I've been through this process with a Big Book Step Study sponsor. Loving and merciful God, doing amends and working on 10, 11, 12 on a daily basis. It's been a long time since I've been at this table, so there's always that fear and anxiety, that comes up when I'm about to talk. For some reason I have a hard time doing this, It's just, I don't know, I think it's that people-pleasing thing. I always think I'm going to say something wrong or whatever, but I'm just going to give you my experience, my strength, and talk a little bit about what it says in this chapter. I started drinking at a very young age. I was always a shy and introverted kid, I had a hard time talking with people and stuff, and obviously around 12 or 13 years old I found alcohol. And alcohol was like this magic elixir to me. It opened me up, I could deal with people, I could talk with people. It was great. I loved it, And I ran with this stuff for a long time, I never drank because I liked the taste of it. I drank because of the effect, Alcohol empowered me. Alcohol was my power, And I, like I said, I loved it, Gradually, obviously, it progressed, and, my whole life was centered around this stuff, I grew up in a poor family. We didn't have much money and stuff. My mother was raising us 5 kids, and I remember thinking that I wish I had stuff like other people had, and and we couldn't afford stuff. And anyway, I got involved with drinking, and along with the drinking, I was doing other stuff, and eventually I got caught up with selling marijuana and stuff like that and making money, because I didn't have no money at the beginning, so I felt great. This stuff, this was great. This lifestyle was awesome. I could drink, I have money and all this stuff. I can get girls, and I can go out and buy new clothes, all this thing. I was happy with that life. I was happy with what was going on in my life at that time. Little did I realize that this stuff was slowly taking over my life completely. Everything in my life depended on drinking and other substance abuse, everything. So for, like I said, it progressed, and after a while, I got to a point where I wanted to stop, but I couldn't stop. Many times I jumped in and out of this program. I came into AA for the fixed relationships or whatever, and I never thought that I was like anybody else. I came in, I never identified with anybody. I always compared. And even though I was sick and stuff, there was always a part of me that was kind of spiritual, I guess, because I went to church. I believed in God, and I went to church. And as a matter of fact, this is a church I belonged to when I was a kid. And I remember going to AA, and I seen on the steps, and they seen God on a thing, and I said, okay, now I know I don't belong here, because these people are all searching for God, and I already got him because I go to church, Little did I know that I didn't really have a connection with them. I just had a belief, I didn't do anything that the church taught me to do. I didn't live that life that was being taught. That's for damn sure, So I got to a point in my life where I just didn't want to do it no more, and I got to the point where I couldn't stop, and that's where I got scared. Many times I tried to stop. I would prove to myself, to other people, I'll stop for a little while. I'll stop for maybe like a month just to prove that I'm not an alcoholic. And they talk about that feeling of restlessness, irritability, and discontent in here. And every time I did stop, I just was thinking about the day when I could drink again. I was just trying to prove a point, but this stuff already had control of my life, So many times I was supposed to go like birthdays or, these engagements and stuff, and I drank the night before, and I said, I'll just go have a drink. And I'll be all right, and I'll go home early, and I'll be able to go the next day. Never happened. Every time I drank, I ended up staying in. I drank to the wee hours of the night, and I ended up, I found that the perfect drug that went with the alcohol was cocaine. So every time I drank, I did lines. It was like peanut butter and jelly. It was a perfect fit for me. It kept me going. It allowed me to drink longer. And it just kept me going. And I lived that lifestyle for such a long, long, long time. Until I got to that point where I tried to stop. Like I said, I couldn't stop. So near the bottom of my bottom, I guess, was an emotional and spiritual one. I just didn't want to live anymore. I just didn't want to live anymore because I couldn't stop. So I went to confession upstairs to this priest, Father Nally. I told him, Father, I explained what was going on, and how I hated my life and I wanted to die and all that stuff. He told me, Steve, you got to go to AA. I goes, AA, Father, for what? And those guys are looking for God. We got God in the church. What do I got to go there for? And he said, just go. He goes, I've been there before. I tried. It doesn't work. He goes, Steve, just go. So that was my penance. So I had to go. So I went. I went to the AA, and for some reason, it clicked. I don't know why it clicked this time, but it clicked. I started to identify. I didn't start to compare. And I just started going to meetings every single day, twice a day, and I fell in love with AA. So from just alcohol being my power became my enemy. So I remember one time when I said I was going to quit, and I relapsed, and I was so bummed out. It was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm flicking through the channels of the TV, and I see this preacher come on. He's talking about the good I want to do, I can't do, and the evil I don't want to do, I do. He goes, wow, because that was me. That I identified perfectly with that, because that was my struggle with the disease, But, this knowledge didn't do me any good. I still didn't have the power to stop. I still didn't have the power to stop until I got here, and I didn't understand it. And when I got here and I read this doctor's opinion, it was kind of like a relief, because, they talked about this stuff that's just allergy to body, the phenomenon of craving. When you first take that first drink, it's just never enough. You just keep wanting to drink, And I thought I used to have like this split personality. Why? Part of me that wanted to stop, and part of me that didn't want to, that continued to drink. I didn't understand it, but now I found out that I'm not the only one like that. Everybody that suffers from disease has that phenomenon of a craving. That mental obsession. On page 64 of this book, it talks about the spiritual malady. It says, once the spiritual malady is overcome, we recover mentally and physically. So it's saying I'm spiritually sick, and that physical compulsion, the mental obsession, is just a manifestation of that sickness. So, this program right here, gave me back my life. It gave me back my life. It showed me a way of connecting to this power that I always thought I had in my life. Like I said, I always believed in God, but I didn't have that relationship with God. This program, working these steps, developed that relationship. And now instead of turning to alcohol all the time, I have this higher power that I always had, but never had that relationship that I turn to. And I've been through a lot of different stuff in my life. A lot of things that's happened lately, as a lot of you guys probably know. I just got out of a federal prison, because I wasn't practicing the second half of the 12th step. I wasn't practicing all these principles in all my affair, but obviously that's another step. I found out I'm powerless over a lot of different stuff. I'm powerless over a lot of things that happen in my life, and it's real easy for me to want to take my will back. It's real easy not to follow these principles and try to go that easy route again. And all that easy route does is make things worse. Every time I drank, every time I did any other kind of substance, I thought it was like going to make me feel better. And at that time, it maybe took away the pain or took away whatever was going on in my life. But in the end result, things always got worse. It always got worse. Now, I admire this doctor that wrote this chapter. This guy must have had a lot of frustrations and disappointments, working with people like myself, and trying so hard to help them, and seeing all this failure all the time. These people keep coming back, and just for him to write this and to give this program the credit, I think that was a big boost to AA. So in my life now, life is still, I look at life like a hurricane. I always have these storms going on, whether they're relationships or financial problems or whatever. But, in every hurricane is that center where there's peace. And Alcoholics Anonymous gave me that place where I can go, right inside me, where my higher power dwells. And that's where I rely and trust on him now. Whenever I don't think about drinking or drugging anymore, even though I got arrested, I wasn't drinking or drugging. I was still, practicing these steps, the beginning ones, obviously not the second half of the 12th, but, I was still trying. I didn't relapse or anything like that. But, God's always been in my life. Even when I went away, he was there. He helped me through this ordeal. You know, and I'm grateful. That's only because of this program. And I know it's about the action part, you know, because I used to think my way into a lot of stuff before. But thinking doesn't do me any good. It's the action. You know, someone told me, I heard in this program before, the understanding comes after the action. You know, I used to question whether I should do certain steps or whether I should do this or that. But this guy told me, just do it, Steve. Once you do it, you understand why. I never thought I had to do the fourth and fifth step because I went to, you know, I was Catholic, went to confession and stuff. But now I realize all these steps are so important in my life. But the first one, the most important, because that's the foundation one. You know, and another thing you should remember, thinking, you know, if I stopped drinking, how boring life would be. You know, what would life be without drinking and drugs? That was so much part of my life. You know, total abstinence. It's one day at a time, this program. It's one day at a time, and it works if I just keep coming. You know, so I'm very grateful, and I'm glad to be here. And that's all I got. Thank you.